It's the Gear Tester here, and welcome to my first range report on the Arsenal SLR-107 CR. So I've got about 450, 500 rounds through my Arsenal AK-47, and I am very, very happy with it. I have used 3 different kinds of magazines. Okay, I have used these Bulgarian, a relatively expensive magazine, about $45 a pop, Circle 10, and I really like them. They've got steel reinforced sides, lips, and a latch point and another latch point there and there. So these are probably the magazines I like the best, but they cost the most. Then I've used these Magpul magazines, okay, just the standard Magpul MOE mags. And I have also used these X-Tech magazines as well. All these magazines, these are all polymer-based magazines. They have all fit in the gun very easily. They have rocked in easily. They have functioned flawlessly. And that's a combination of good magazines, new good magazines, and a really well-made gun. Some of you may remember about 5.5, 6 years ago that I got an Arsenal SLR-104 FR, which is an AK-74, and I really like that gun. That's proven itself to be very reliable. But I wanted an AK chambered in 7.62x39, not 5.45. 7.62x39 is just more available. I can go to my local firearm stores and just buy a couple boxes. I don't have to buy $300 or $400 or $500 worth all at one time and have it shipped to me. Not that I have a problem doing that, but it's just simpler. The Arsenal SLR-107 CR is a little bit different in terms of AKs, and the differences are primarily up here in the front of the gun. It's just like any other Arsenal AK or standard AK here in the back of the gun, pretty much. But in the front of the gun, we have some differences here. I'll just talk a little bit about those. This version of the AK-47 from Arsenal is really designed to be cut down right here and turned into an SBR. I have no intention of doing that. Arsenal AK-47s have been pretty scarce in the last couple years. So when I saw the CR come available, I bought one because I didn't want to wait another year or 2 or 3 until Arsenal gets production spun up for the U.S. market. I think they're making a lot of guns to be transported and used in the Middle East. Often, I must say, probably they end up getting used by America's enemies, which is a strange thing, but or something that is a negative reality. But there's some benefits to the CR, even though this is the one that was available and I could get. This is the one I was interested in. And that has to do with some of the things up here. They have combined in this version of the AK, the CR version, they have combined the rear sight tower and the gas block into one component. This, first of all, saves you weight. It also moves, it doesn't have a muzzle brake on it, but with the muzzle brake and the front sight tower and everything out here, it makes the gun a lot more front heavy. AKs are already front heavy because they have this whole piston system, okay, and everything that's makes a lot of weight forward on the gun. And then when you start putting big muzzle brakes out, I'll throw some pictures in of my Arsenal AK-74. I didn't like the muzzle brake because it blows the eardrums out of everybody around you. As the shooter, it doesn't bother you if you have hearing protection on, but the blast and concussion is really strong for people around you. So I wasn't super happy with that, the muzzle brake that was on my AK-74 from Arsenal. Anyway, but I wanted to slim this down and have the least amount of weight forward on the gun as possible, and the CR version does that by combining the glass block and the front sight post together. One negative is you will not be able then to have your cleaning rod in the gun because of the way this interfaces. This has threads on the inside of this. You can push this down, spin it off, and if you were to trim the barrel down, then there would be an addition. You could put like a flash hider or a muzzle brake or compensator onto that threading, okay, onto that threaded portion. I don't intend to do that. What I do intend to do is have this threaded and have some kind of a small flash suppressor put on the front, kind of like an A2 that would be, but for a 30 caliber gun, more than anything to protect the crown of the barrel. I think my perception was when I was deciding between getting an AK-47 and an AK-74 almost 6 years ago, was that a 47 was going to kick a lot and that the 74 was going to kick so much less that it was just a better gun. And you know what? The 74, I don't even remember it kicking, and I do know that this gun kicks, but it's still totally controllable. And I wish, honestly, that I would have purchased originally an AK-47. I think I would have been happier with that, but that's just me. I like a 30 caliber bullet, but I wanted cheaper ammo, and 7.6 was still pretty available 6 years ago, and I wanted to be able to have minimal recoil. But this has minimal recoil. I think that anybody that can shoot an AK, a 74 or an AR-15 could probably shoot this well. They might need a little more training. They might shoot a little bit slower, but I think in the grand scheme of things, the AK-47 is very controllable, even without a muzzle device. You're not shooting this thing full auto, right? This is a semi-automatic sporting weapon or a self-defense weapon. Some things that I like about the way Arsenal executes their AKs. It's got a folding stock on it, which I really like. And this is the kind of pattern after the Bulgarian or Russian folding stock. I really like it. It has a really solid lockup. It does not get loose. You push this little button here to release it. It snaps into place, and it is rock solid. If you're going to have a folding stock, this is the one to have in my personal view. I prefer the polymer over the metal kind of triangle folding stocks, but that's just me. Another thing that Arsenal does that's a little bit different to other AK manufacturers, at least as far as I know, is because of the way that these lowers are imported into the country and then milled and manufactured into guns that we can have as U.S. citizens, there is a natural weakness here in the frame of the AK, in this stamped portion. So Arsenal goes to the additional work of installing a thicker piece of metal here, an additional plate that is installed onto the gun, so that if you were to drop this and it impacted on the handle, it wouldn't bend into your frame of the gun. That's particularly would be a problem if you dropped it with the stock folded and all the impact went there. So the combination of the folding stock, I think if you don't have a folding stock, then you probably don't need this reinforcement. But because Arsenal has a folding stock, they've gone to the additional work there of having that reinforcement. You have a side rail. I am not a big fan of the side rail mounts, the kind of dog leg or L mounts for optics. I don't like them. But it does come with that as an option. It comes with your standard safety. It's easy to take down. One of the things I do like about, and I don't know all the verbiage here to describe everything perfectly, but the way in which the safety is retained is just a better system than the ones on the Arsenals that have just like a little stupid paper clip. This is a better way of retaining the safety latch. And I'm not going to take it all apart for you, but I would just say the Arsenal seems to me to be better put together, better engineered when it comes to things like keeping your safety, retention latch, and some of those things there. I've got about 450, 500 rounds through this gun, 100% reliable, and those rounds have been spread in between those three different kinds of mags I showed you. What I'm going to be doing here in the next couple weeks, or what I'm going to be paying somebody else to do for me, is to install the Occam Defense Solutions RST, the rear sight tower, onto my Arsenal AK-47. This is going to take the place of this big block, okay, with this folding sight, or collapsible sight leaf. and it's going to replace it so that we have a Picatinny rail, right? And it serves as your rear sight, okay? So what this allows me to do is quickly attach and unattach in a very secure manner things like the Aimpoint Micro onto this, or other small red dot sights directly onto the gun, okay? Because this will become part of the gun. You're going to take this portion off and put that portion on. Then if I pop my optic off, I will have that slot, and all the windage and elevation will be done here, as it is anyway, with the front sight. So I've got windage and I've got elevation here. Just a little quick tip, you need to get a front sight tool. When you purchase an AK-47, one of the things, or 74, one of the things companies should really do is ship them with a tool like this. This is a little Tapco one, not the most expensive, but it's a functional one. You need to have this to be able to adjust and zero your rifle correctly for the load you're going to be using. Don't try and do that with a little hammer and stuff. Trust me, it doesn't work out well. And probably if you don't spend the additional 25, 35 bucks on a front sight adjustment tool, you won't end up actually zeroing your rifle very well. So that, if you bought an AK, you should own one of these, just hands down. So that's the modification that I intend to do here, or pay an individual to do. This is something that you need a gunsmith with the right tools to do, because this is really disassembling the gun. I wish that companies like Arsenal would be willing to just put these rear sight towers on their AKs when they come from the factory. Some people are not going to like that. They like to be able to adjust here. In my personal experience, I zeroed it on one point. I fired it, so I chose a zero, like a 200-yard zero. That would mean that I had minimal drop out to 200 yards, minimal deviation in my standard point of aim. So it might be a couple inches low, it might be a couple inches high, but it was basically on. I'm not going to be sitting there, oh, is this it? I think they're at 300. Okay, that was, let's back it up to 200. I think that most people are not going to do that. If you're a purist, then this is not for you. But if you're trying to make a more functional fighting or defensive weapon to defend your rights in your family, then I think the rear sight tower from Occam Defense Solutions is at least worthy of your consideration. Another thing, another little item from Occam Defense Solution that I've been using is their Occam Lube. So they've got a number of different varieties. I've been using their red lube, their red lithium grease on my Arsenal SLR-107 CR, but I'm going to clean it off here today or tomorrow, and I'm going to start using the black grease. It has properties that allow it to do better and function better when it is very, very cold outside, and I've been doing a lot of shooting here in the cold and in the snow with my AK-47, and so the black lube, the Black Magic, which I think has graphite in it, if I'm not mistaken here. Yeah, it's got graphite in it. It'll help my gun run more reliably. The gun is already running reliably. I'm just doing everything that's available to me to increase the chances of my gun functioning well. There are two modifications, or one modification that I've done to two parts of this rifle that we haven't talked about yet. I've stippled the front portion of the gun here with just a little soldering iron, and I just worked it, and then I sanded it down a little bit. It's not very rough, but it does create some texture and allows me to grab the gun. I did the same similar thing here on the pistol grip of the rifle. I probably will end up replacing this with some kind of a different pistol grip. Eventually I had a US palm grip on my last Arsenal, or my AK-74, but I haven't wanted to spend the money yet. I've been trying to decide carefully how I'm going to spend my money on this gun, so I stippled them. I've been actually very happy with the stippling. Allows me to, when you do reloads and things, you're going to be reloading the firearm one-handed. You're going to be manipulating the magazine in with your left hand if you're right-handed. And the stippling just allows me to hang on to the gun a little bit better than under recoil and firing. The stippling here just means that the gun does not slip out of my hands, and that it wasn't going to slip out of my hands anyway. I just have a more positive grasp on the firearm. On my AK-74, I had trying to remember the brand here, Ultimac AK rail here that I could mount optics and things on. I didn't like the Ultimac for two reasons. And there are people that swear by them and think they're totally awesome. So this is just my personal opinion, I didn't like the Ultimac AK mount because it made cleaning the rifle harder. I also didn't like it because the rail here, when you fired 2 or 3 mags of ammo, even on a cold day, and your thumb was able to run up and touch that aluminum of the Ultimac rail, you burned the living crap out of your hand. Okay, and so you could, there are different handguards and stuff that would minimize that, but ultimately, that's why I'm so happy about the rear sight towers. I'm going to be able to drop my aimpoint micro right down on this, and I still am able to have the gas port or the gas tube here covered by something that's got a heat shield and polymer, so it's not going to burn me. I'm not like, whoa, and you know, it hurts. When you touch a really, really hot rifle, it hurts, and I don't want to have to worry about that. You know, another way to deal with that is to have a glove on your left hand when you shoot your AK, and lots of people do that. But I prefer the standard setup as it comes from Arsenal in many ways. It saves you money, and it allows you to be safer, okay, or less likely to burn yourself. So those are my thoughts on the Arsenal SLR-107 CR. I'm really happy with it. It's been totally reliable, and I look forward to doing more shooting with this. In Range Report 2, we'll probably have the rear sight tower already installed, and hopefully we will have some kind of a flash hider or something on the front of the gun. We'll get that threaded and installed. If you like this video, I would encourage you to subscribe to my channel for more quality video reviews on the topics of shooting, camping, and survival gear. If you do subscribe to my channel, make sure to hit the notification bell. That will mean that you are alerted when I upload other range reports on this gun, as well as a full review and lots of other products that I am reviewing here in the coming months. Thank you very much for your views and your subscriptions. This is the Gear Tester signing off.